Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter. I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York. If you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Oh, let me get the light on here. Sorry. Shoot. Sorry. I think that's better. Okay. So today we're talking about how to identify distressed properties. So let's talk about what that even means when we say distressed properties. Usually what we mean when we say distressed properties are there's some kind of conditional problem to them. And the only real way, well, if you stay to the end, I'll tell you a couple of ways that you might be able to find other ways to find distressed properties. But the most general way is what we call driving for dollars, right? You drive around, you look for properties that look like crap on the outside. Now, here's a little nugget. It doesn't always need to look like crap, but I'm in the East Coast, right? I'm in New York, and if it snows and nobody's shoveling the snow, that could mean it's distressed. Also, if nobody's cutting the grass, it could mean it's distressed. But in general, it's easy to identify properties that look distressed. It doesn't always mean someone's going to sell it to you at a discount. Sorry. But that is the way. Now, I learned something new when I was at Investor Village, a mastermind I'm a part of. When was that? In August? July? And what I learned was that the typical, so the main driving for dollars software that people sell you is Deal Machine, right? Which I tried. And the thing that I told you is it's 300 properties. If you get 300 distressed properties, you get one deal. What I learned from one of the people there is that that's not true everywhere. It is true in a place where the average ARV, the after repaired value, is $100,000 or less. However, in areas such as ours, where the ARVs are $500,000 and more, he said you need at least 1,200 properties. Now that made me very, very happy. Why did that make me happy? Because I did an experiment of basically 600 properties. I had a bunch of people going around driving for me, and I got 600 properties, and none of them were a deal. And I thought, well, maybe this shit doesn't work in New York. But the truth is, I just didn't give it enough time, right? I probably need to do more. Now, this is just one factor, right? It's an additional possible reason why somebody might sell you the property, right? It's vacant. You can tell nobody's living there. There's mail coming out of the mailbox. The roof looks like it's beat up. The gutters, something's hanging down. I mean, I bought a lot of properties like that. Doesn't mean that every property that looks like that you're going to buy. But the truth is, my undershirt is sticking out of my shirt. Sorry. That's what we do, right? What we do is we look at properties that are more likely to sell at a discount, and we try to approach a seller and say, "Hey, do you want to sell?" It's a numbers game, right? You got to kiss a tremendous amount of frogs to get to the prince. I mean, I can tell you. I'll give you numbers. I get 25,000 prospects a quarter, right? So what is that divided by in a month, right? If I wanted to figure this out, divided by 3. So it's 8,300 prospects a month. And, I'm lucky if I'll close 8 of them. So that's 1 out of 1,000, right? So it's usually less than that. So let's be honest, right? You got to deal with a lot of frogs, a lot of crappy houses, and you got to deal with a lot of it. So I may start driving for dollars again, right? Not myself, but I have other people do it for me, knowing that I need 1,200 of these things to possibly get a deal, right? And what I would do is I'd have driving for dollars and I just stack them. So I'd take a list of all those addresses, I'd stick them into list stacking software. My CRM, Ari simply does it for me too. Stick them in there, and then I'd check them out with my other prospects and all the other things and any other lists I can get. And anything that shows up on multiple ones, I would say is a higher chance that person would want to sell. So, I mean, if you could get great data, if you could get code violation lists, and you can get tax delinquent lists, and you can get pre-foreclosure lists in anywhere, and you can't get pre-foreclosure lists in New York, but I would advise against using them. That's a whole another topic of discussion. Maybe I'll do it because we're only 4 minutes into this. I'm going to talk for another 6. But you stack all those lists, and people that show up on multiple lists are your targets, right? Those are the most likely people. If somebody shows up on multiple pain points, they're most likely to sell you a property at a discount. So that's how you check for distressed property. So now that I'm on this tangent, and I'll probably do another video on this topic itself, but let's talk about why I don't use pre-foreclosure lists in New York. There's a few reasons. The first reason is it's one of the only lists that is easy to get, right? Someone files a list pendants. That means that they're starting the foreclosure process, and that means nobody can sell the property unless they pay off this, unless they deal with the list pendants. It's a very easy list to get. Every idiot who's trying to get into this business is on it, and I don't like swimming in a red ocean full of sharks. I prefer a blue ocean where there's nobody else there. Number one. Number two, the expected urgency that you have on a pre-foreclosure list is not really this accurate in New York. If you get a pre-foreclosure list in Texas, you have 45 days there to get the hell out of the property before they come and take it. In New York, you probably have 10 years. So not as urgent as you think. Number three is besides the fact that other investors are approaching people on a pre-foreclosure list, a lot of attorneys are approaching them, right? I once bought a house and went through the whole foreclosure process, and there was a mail slot, and there was years worth of mail there. I went through all of it, and I found out that there was like 100 pieces of mail related to the foreclosure from people's solicitors. 100 solicitations. 30 were from investors, some of them were repeats, and 70 were from attorneys, also some repeats. But the point is, there's a 7 to 3 chance they're going to call an attorney before they call an investor. And the first thing that an attorney will tell them is, listen, you got plenty of time. If you don't even deal with it with an attorney, you got a couple of years. If you deal with it, if you hire me, I'll extend it another 5, 10 years. So give me 1 second. Hey, let me call you back in 4 minutes, okay? 4 minutes. Okay, so, sorry, my son from Israel. So, the truth is that it's a situation where they're getting a lot of solicitations. A lot of those solicitations are telling them you're in no rush, and the truth is they're in no rush. So I don't like that list. Now, I know people who have gotten deals off it. I'm not saying you can't get a deal from it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that a lot of people have expectations. And let me tell you a little nugget, which you should never do, is never call somebody and say, hey, you're in foreclosure, I'm going to buy it from you. Or, hey, I can rescue you. Don't ever tailor your message to the problem you think they have, because very often you're wrong. And even if you're right, sometimes that turns people off tremendously. How did you know about that? Why are you bothering me? Your message on every single prospect should be, I'm a buyer in the area. I'm looking to buy. You're looking to sell. That's it. You never want to get into the specifics. I know people that call people and go, oh, you're going to lose your house. It's scheduled for auction. That's ridiculous, right? That's crazy. So you never want to do that. I don't like marketing to that list, because I think everybody markets to that list. I could tell you that one of the beauties of New York is there's very little competition compared to other places. I would say between 60 and 70% of the time, I'm the only person making an offer on a property when I buy it, which is unheard of in a lot of other places. You go to a Phoenix, Dallas, Vegas, people get 100 offers. So it's a big advantage of New York. So I prefer less competition. But if you're desperate for a list, then you can work that list. Work it. Knock yourself out. Just understand that these people are not going to be as desperate as you think they are, and they're going to be approached by a lot of other people, and some of those people are telling them that they got plenty of time. So I would advise that. Now, I'd advise staying away from the foreclosure list. Now, back to our topic, which is distressed properties. So if you can get a code violation list, that is a good way to find distressed properties without having to drive around, right? Unfortunately, I can't get a code violation list in my county. But if you can get a list of property, people that aren't cutting their grass or aren't shoveling the snow, that is going to be as good a distressed property as anything. But you're looking for houses that look crappy, right? Looking for houses that look bad. And I believe the driving for dollars actually works. I just think that I never gave it enough of a chance, and I might go back to it. So those are the ways that I would find distressed properties. You can literally pay people to drive around and take a picture, use a deal machine app. There's a lot of other things. What is there? SendFuse. There's a million. Driving for dollars is an app. And they basically take a picture, and then you get an address, and then you try to skip trace that address, or you try to mail to that address. But the truth is, you see, that's the weird dichotomy about it, because if it's so distressed and it looks vacant, you don't want to mail to that. You want to mail to whoever's getting the tax bill. But for me, whenever you see a distressed property, you want to do a little bit of research first, because you want to go to county records and see if it was already bank owned, which is not a deal. If it was already investor bought from a bank or from the seller, which is not a deal. If it's crazy underwater, so the guy owes $2 million and you want to pay $200,000, that's a short sale rabbit hole that I don't want to go into. Or if it's a reverse mortgage, which gets very complicated. So I would say make sure you do your due diligence before you even bother spending a nickel to send a postcard out, or spending a nickel to skip trace the owner. Look up those things and see. What you want to see is clear, nothing recorded for a long time. No list pendants, no mortgage. That could be great. Then you got to try to find the heirs. Okay, so 1 second. Sorry. So I hope this was helpful. If you want all the ways that can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you want information on my course that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any channel, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps. And keep the comments coming. I go live 5 times a week. I try to go live. I post 5 times a week. And I run out of things to say. So the comments really give me information, give me ideas. If it's a simple answer, there's no bad comments. It can be ask me something about the video you're watching or anything else. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply. If it's a topic I've covered in depth, I'll send you links to videos or video on it. And if it's something new, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.